Well, Mike, good to be with you. How are you enjoying primetime football as you've got post-game shows here on the Blue and Gold YouTube channel after every game?
Late nights and late mornings. I'm all right. Yeah, just adjust, but it's been all good.
It's a lot more fun when they win and pull one out like they did last Saturday. It was a wild football game. But let's get down to business. Some recruiting news. You've told us a lot about Jerome Bettis Jr., a legacy, obviously, we all know his dad. Are we getting close to a conclusion to his recruiting process?
No, and that's
No.
kind of the update today is that we're not. And I had an in-depth article on Bettis Jr. that you can find at blueandgold.com posted Tuesday afternoon. So went in depth talking about where his recruitment's at, his relationship with the Notre Dame staff, and he's even pretty excited about Notre Dame landing a commitment from class of 2025 quarterback Deuce Knight. Nation's number 39 overall player, number three quarterback in that 2025 class. So Bettis told me, and of course, Bettis, 6'3", 385-pound, 2025 wide receiver. Bettis told me that when right before Deuce was announcing his decision, that Deuce informed Bettis like, "Hey, this is coming, and you got to join me in South Bend." I think that meant a lot to Bettis. So yeah, the kind of the update, Darren, is that he's taking his time, and he told me that he really appreciated, that Notre Dame is treating him like other recruits. That like, hey, Notre Dame could probably say to Jerome Bettis Jr., "What are you waiting for, man? Just go ahead and commit. We want you in this class right now." They could do that, I think, Darren, and probably would work, but they're respecting him and saying when Jerome says, "Hey, I want to take my process, take my time, kind of go through it, go on some visits to others places as well." They're respecting that, and they also probably know in the back of their head whether it's October 3rd or January 15th or whatever random date you want to throw in the winter, they're probably going to get his commitment. So Notre Dame's still going through the process with Bettis, and I got to see Bettis a couple weeks ago, actually the day before the Ohio State game, which is also when he was up on campus, for that game. And I was pretty impressed, Darren. Thought he looked pretty good. It was a routine win for him, so he only played the first half. But look good, going back to the ball, catching some of these comeback routes. You love to see that, not waiting for the ball and letting it even get into your body, going out, snag with his hands. He definitely looks the part. I think he would be a pretty good catch for Notre Dame. You know, if Jerome Bettis if Jerome Bettis' son is a Power 5 level player, you're taking him. You don't have any other choice, and it's actually a good thing that he's actually a pretty good player too. I like what I see in his film.
I like what the coaching staff are saying to you, Mike, because I think sometimes a kid like this who has such a familiar last name, there are a lot of kids that may think about maybe I want to go somewhere else and create my own legacy and not follow my dad's footsteps. Now I know he loves Notre Dame, so it's not all about that, but I like how the coaches are treating him and letting him breathe and enjoy the process.
I think they're doing a really good job, but they're also not being lazy in that, oh, that's Jerome Bettis' kid. Of course we're going to get him. They're still treating him like he is any other recruit, that's something that's been important to him. He doesn't want any special treatment or I'm sure he also doesn't want them to slack off either. And again, he tells me that Chancey Stuckey and Chad Bowden are talking to him on a daily basis. He talks to Freeman and Parker a good bit as well. Some good daily communication between the two parties. And Bettis is, of course, a frequent visitor up to South Bend. He was on campus for the Ohio State game, expecting to be back this next weekend for the USC game as well, Darren.
Mike, it's hard to believe that in a lot of places we're halfway through the high school football season. It's simply flying by. When you think about players that committed or Notre Dame's recruiting, are there a couple of guys that have stood out to you? And I don't know if surprised is the right word, but has caught your
Right.
attention so far
Yeah.
this fall?
Perfect way to describe it, Aaron. Like, yeah, guys have caught my attention, and I'll start with a player who I actually saw recently. Actually, just this past weekend, that was
Oh,
Micah Gilbert, 6'2", 205 pounds. And when I saw him at Irish Invasion over the summer, I was like, yeah, he's just another kind of one of these big boundary receivers that Notre Dame has in spades, right? Deion Colsey or Jaden Thomas. It just seems like Notre Dame has a lot of those type. Jaden Greathouse, even he's playing the slot right now, but you can see him as that kind of body type. And I thought Micah Gilbert would be that as well, but I'm singing a different tune now because Gilbert, I thought, just looked fantastic and showed off number one potential in that game. As a deep threat, as an underneath screen kind of threat, I think he can do it all. I'm pretty impressed with Micah Gilbert from what I saw from him. Having a pretty darn good season through 6 games, 50 catches, 688 yards, 5 touchdowns, and also is playing on defense too, Darren. So he is a two-way player. Again, I got 4 guys here for you, Darren. So Tay Johnson, playing all over the field. He's going to play safety for the Fighting Irish, and he has, I think, 7 tackles or something. But he's transitioned more to full-time quarterback. 30 of 48 passes he's completed for 457 yards, 5 touchdowns, 28 carries, 280 yards, and 6 touchdowns. So he's ranked as an athlete, and I hope that continues because you can't rank him as a safety when you really just have to rank him based on his overall athletic traits. And I think that, when some of these websites like an On3 who ranks him lowest right now gets a hold of his, senior tape here and then watches his early basketball film. I'm sure he's going to play basketball this winter. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Tay Johnson shoots up the rankings. Bodie Cahoon in Virginia, this class of 2024 linebacker commit for the Fighting Irish. Darren, 6 games, 107 tackles.
What?
Over 100 tackles in 6 games, 62 solo tackles. 13 of his stops are for loss, 4 sacks. He's got a PBU, a fumble recovery, and a block punt. He has been an absolute tackle machine. So Bodie Cahoon, I'm loving what I'm seeing from him in his senior film. And then Cam Williams, I think, is probably going to end up a 5-star player. In the 4 games we have stats on him, 14 catches, 342 yards, 5 touchdowns. He also has 108 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns on kick returns as well. And he's got an 83-yard punt return on his stat sheet. And that's just for the 4 games we have stats for. Kane Williams stock is up for him. And if it can't get a whole lot higher, On3 ranking him as the number 27 overall player, number 5 receiver in the country. But I think he's got a good case to end up as a 5-star, Darren.
I can't get over the 107 tackles in 6 games.
I know.
Is his girlfriend keeping the tackle stats or something? Because that's incredible. Unbelievable.
It is official stats, but yeah, stats can be an interesting thing because you're tracking them at the high school level, and yeah, Darren, I remember I don't compile our stats article like I used to, but it would be like I'd be like getting the stats each week from a high school coach, and I'm just doing the basic math again based on what the high school coach is telling me each week, and then the high school will put out the end of the year stats, and it's totally different than what I've been getting each week. From like, I throw my hands up in the air or whatever. But yeah, 107 tackles, Darren. Pretty impressive by Bodie Cahoon.